Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to yet another week of RU Esports, the show that should probably have a question mark at the end of it. We've got a lot of action for you guys today. We've got a lot of LCS conversation to talk about with North America and Europe being on the table here, and then we've got some CSGO action to talk about. There's a lot of interesting things happening, as well as ESL Barcelona, which happened fairly recently. And lastly, we're going to get into probably a little bit of Smash, and then our discussion of the week, where today we're talking about visa issues and how that's affecting the esports scene. If you want to get in on the chat, we are talking at let's see here, www. It's just chatstep.com/# RU Esports. You make a username, and then the password is Ryerson37, all lowercase, and you can join in the conversation. We'll be talking to people there and taking suggestions and topic discussion. This week, I'm obviously your host, David Simo Rabinovich, and beside me, my co-host, Joseph Raimundo.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. We have a lot to talk about today, so let's dive right in, because North America has been, and Europe for that fact, has been explosive. Let's go quickly over the European standings update. We've got G2 Esports in first place, not surprised, at 9-3. Team Vitality and H2K trailing that first place spot with 9-3 as well. Huge tie up at the top there. Unicorns of Love 8-4 in fourth place. Fnatic 7-5 in fifth place. Origin 6-6 in sixth place. That's a little creepy. Seventh place goes to Elements and Splice, tied at 4 wins and 8 losses. Giants 2-10, as well as Rocket 2-10 in ninth place. A little dicey. Let's take a quick look at the North American standings, and then we'll dive right in. Immortals 12-0. Why am I not surprised? First place, well deserving. Cloud9 and Counterlogic Gaming tied at second place, 8-4. TSM in fourth place, 7-5. NRG 6-6. But this time fifth, not sixth. Liquid, Echo Fox tied for sixth place, 5-7. And as we get to the bottom of the list, we've got Impulse and Dignitas with 4 wins and 8 losses. And then finally, Renegades not doing too hot, 1-11, but I'm not surprised, to be honest. Let's go back over to the European LCS and talk a little bit about what's going on over there. One of the topics of discussion that's really, really hot right now is Unicorns of Love dropped jungler Rudy in replace of Lulex. What kind of pickup is that? Is that a good pickup? Is that troublesome for Unicorns of Love? Obviously, losing Diamond Prox is like one of the most saddest things that I can imagine.
I think that's what started it all. Is they had Diamond, of course, and that first week he just went ham, and everybody thought the king is back. The Russian crazy whatever jungler who can play everything is back, and then. Yeah, the visa issues hit him, and they've been looking for a jungler ever since. And I think, didn't they even put out like a public tryout on Reddit? Like, basically, hey, if anybody wants to play jungle, come try out for us. And they tried a bunch of junglers, and I think now they're just going for the next guy just to see how it goes.
Yeah, they tried somebody else before Rudy, I believe, and I'm not exactly quite sure who that was. But Rudy, over the 2 weeks that he did play, he garnered himself a 3.9 KDA ratio, 70% kill participation, and in the 2 weeks that he did participate, he had a 1-1 1 win, 1 loss in both weeks. And, upon doing a little bit of research, didn't really know who the guy was. I think he just really came out of nowhere. But he did fairly well, fairly decently against the teams that he did play. But Lulex, however, a European staple, really. He was on H2 Gaming for a year.
In the last year, not for the longest time, but
for the longest time. But last year, he was definitely a staple in the scene. He played Jarvan a lot, Rek'Sai, which are common champions that even are still used to this day. More Rek'Sai than Jarvan. Third place in regular season spring 2015 in the playoffs, lost to Fnatic. Of course, the undefeated Fnatic. And, of course, third place in the summer of 2015. Lost to Origin, but beat Unicorns of Love, making that a very, very delicious playoff run as well for them. They make it, I think, to Worlds, but they place they place third in the group, and they're not able to make it out. But anyways, Lulex, solid pickup.
Oh, yeah. He's definitely, he brings a lot of experience to the team as well. Yeah, like you said, he was at Worlds. He's on H2K. He came in second place. So I don't know. Maybe this is the fit they're looking for. Rudy, maybe he did okay, and maybe that just wasn't the fit that Unicorns of Love was looking for. Lulex might be that fit. Who knows? In 2 weeks, we could be seeing someone else in the jungle. Maybe these visa issues somehow get resolved and Diamond comes back. We don't know.
I honestly hope so, because when seeing Diamond Prox play for the first couple of weeks, he played the same style that he always plays, which is this very, very invasive, very counter jungle focused, and just absolutely bankrupts the enemy jungler. And it turns players like Jankos and Spirit into mashed potatoes. Just absolutely throws them against the wall and doesn't pick up the pieces. And I miss him. I miss him already. I wish that he would come back, but visa issues are a problem, and we will be talking about that later in the day. But Lulex, all in all, solid pickup for Unicorns of Love. Rudy was doing okay, but obviously I feel like Unicorns of Love is running for that playoff spot.
Well,
right?
the reason I love Diamond was because he can literally play any single champion in the jungle. He was famous for his Udyr, his Evelyn, whatever. This guy could play any single champion in the jungle, and it was scary because you had no idea what he was going to pick. And this whole issue with the visas is just a huge issue in esports right now, because there's a huge lack of Russian players in the LCS right now with Edward and there used to be Moscow 5, one of the best teams in the world, the Korean Killers, and now there's no Russian players in the LCS. That's kind of a problem. And I don't know if you saw, I think earlier in 2015 there was that announcement where they're going to do the CIS league with Russian and Ukraine.
That's where Diamond Prox is right now.
I'm kind of starting to think that Riot's kind of given up with this issue, of the visas, especially with Russia, and they're just kind of there's nothing we really can do. It's politics. We're just going to send you to your own league, which is okay, I guess. They got a chance to go to Worlds, but I don't know. The best players should be in the best region they can possibly be in.
You're right, and we will get into that a little bit more as we progress through the topics that we need to talk about. But one thing that's fresh on the list of topics, Noxiac going over to Roccat after being shafted by Fnatic, that's fresh news. That's fresh news. But to be honest with you, I don't think he's going to do a whole lot for Noxiac, but
better than nothing.
It's better than nothing. Fnatic's not doing impressively better without Noxiac anyways, and Noxiac is going to have a respectable AD carry alongside him with Tabs, who is just a phenomenal player. And
I think LCS split champion Tabs.
Yeah, exactly. And he was on the team Alliance during that, and that was the only team to if you look at who has won the European playoffs for spring and summer, and it's Fnatic across the board. But there's that one 2014 playoff run that Alliance took it home in Tabs.
They were the EU super team.
They were,
and Tabs was a part of it. He was a staple on the team.
Yeah,
he was their all-star AD carry, the guy who would rival Reckless, and of course, famously, Reckless is the guy who kicked him out of the team. If you remember, when Reckless got jealous, he got jealous that he lost, and he's like, I want to be on the winning team, and then he went over to Alliance.
Yeah,
I just wish it was a 1-for-1 trade, Tabs for Reckless. That would have been even juicier.
Yeah, it would have, and it would have been interesting to see him on Fnatic. But
Noxiac is definitely a good addition to the team, considering that Rocket had Edward at the start of the season, but then true. Visa issues again.
It's true. I mean, one side of the coin is the fact that this is good, and they have good support to balance out a good AD carry. They might start a rumble in the standings. They might start taking games off of important teams like Team Vitality and Team H2K. And maybe if Unicorns of Love can't find their fit, they'll take off games off of them. And overall, this can only be good news for Roccat. But unfortunately, I gotta say, Noxiac is not a top 10 support, I think, for Europe. I think he's definitely shown himself on the European stage, but I don't think that long term this will be good for him.
No, I don't think he didn't really get that much of a chance to show himself. He got to play, how many weeks did he play? 4 or 5?
Something like that.
Yeah, that is a lot of games, and that's a kind of a long time, but he didn't really get to show what he's capable of. He didn't get to show how he can mesh with the team, and I guess we all heard that it wasn't working well with Reckless. He just didn't have the chemistry. So that could have also hindered his performance. He could maybe work really, really well with Tabs. We don't know. I think this is it's better than not being on any team at all. I mean, could be worse. Could be on Giants.
It's true. And I can't even believe Giants even made a playoff run last year. It blows my mind, but that's
part of League of Legends.
That's part of League of Legends.
I mean, half the game is skill, and then the other half, it could come down to anything, like cheese or luck or whatever. So I don't know. Maybe it's just a numbers game.
So I wanted to talk about a little bit what's going on with Fnatic? What's the problem?
Well,
where's the issue? And also what's going on with Origin? Two teams that I thought would be at the top of the standings are getting thrown around like ragdolls by teams that I don't think deserve to be treating top teams like that.
Well, let's start with Fnatic because you can't really you can ask what's wrong with them. They obviously on paper should be a really, really good team, or at least better than most of the other teams in the league, but they're kind of really, really new as well. Like they kept their carries with Reckless and Fabivin, but that's about it. They have a completely new jungler, completely new top laner from Dignitas as well, and now they're having support issues. So I just think they're lacking their identity right now. They can't seem to find it.
It's crazy because I thought that having such a powerful coach and having such a strong mentor, I honestly think the reason why Fnatic won so convincingly last year was because of two reasons. Daylor is a fantastic coach and was able to motivate the team and put them in such a powerful mindset that allowed them to, be undefeated essentially. But the second part of the key formula of Fnatic's success was Huni and Reignover. Those two were just inseparable, and you see that even now in North America as they're playing on Immortals, currently undefeated.
Yeah, like I kind of think people overhype like their coach a little bit. Like obviously, yes, he's been helping out with the strats a lot, but you gotta admit, like look at the team they had last split. Like all of their players were top in their position in the region. They had Huni, Reignover, Fabivin, Yellowstar, Reckless. Like that is the dream team.
It's true.
So I think with this new roster, like it's only the spring split. This like sure they want to get into MSI, they want to whatever get more points to get to Worlds, but I think they shouldn't really rush and make any hasty decisions. And I think the only reason that they traded Noxiac was because Reckless maybe had a problem with him, and you can't have your star AD carry off his game. So I think they should just stick with the roster. Don't change much. I mean, I don't necessarily agree with them picking up Gamsu in the first place, but I think they should just let the roster sit, let them mesh together. I think what they had last split was really something special with Huni and Reignover. Especially that guy was really charismatic. He probably brought the team up, and you can't really find someone to replace him.
Well, now they've got something special going on in North America. Playing on Immortals, it's been such a joy to watch them play. Huni obviously hasn't been performing well. He's been performing phenomenally, but his KDA has really suffered. I think he's been playing a little bit more riskier. It's not that his skill has suffered.
Well.
Yeah, he's on a new team as well.
Maybe he's in a different role.
Yeah.
It's not an identical team to Fnatic. So
yeah, for sure.
His style's not going to be identical. It's going to be a little bit different. But
so
Origin as well.
That's all that we have for Europe. Let's move on to North America.
Do you want to talk about Origin really quick?
Oh, yeah, no, for sure. I just think that Origin are struggling with the same type of issue.
Yeah, same thing as Fnatic, basically.
They're really trying to find their motivation.
You know what's weird about Origin is you'd think that the team that made the least, like one of the least roster changes would be the same as last split, but I don't really know. I don't have any answers for Origin. I just think they're not in their game. They got off to a little bit of a rocky start. They had that complaint about not being in a gaming house for the first week. Fine. Maybe that first week just tilted them and they're not playing in their A game, but I really have no answers. I think they're just they're in a rough place right now, and I just think time will maybe mend that. We'll see. We'll see at the end of the split how they play. If they make playoffs, well, they should make playoffs. We'll see how well they do there. I mean, famously, these teams, these all-star teams, are playoff teams. That's where they go all out. You won't cheese them in a best of 3 or best of 5, and if you do, that's really something special.
I think the problem is in the mid lane. I know that's really aggressive to say with Power of Evil, but I think Power of Evil is a very unique mid laner, and if you don't kind of put the right shoe on the right foot, you're not really walking in the right direction, right? I think that with Origin, Expeke was such a strong presence, and he was such a powerful shot caller. He has such a vocal position on the team, and now you have Power of Evil, who might not be pulling that same equivalent weight, and that might be really lacking with the team. And also, it's interesting to see how they fare off against like really, really strong teams and how they fare off against really, really weak teams. So next week they are playing against Splice and they are playing against G2 Esports. I assume they're going to lose to G2 and they'll probably beat Splice, but you never know, right?
I think one thing I can think of is they kind of have a little bit of like an attitude issue. I don't know if you saw that I don't know if it was a tweet or something, but someone from the organization or one of the players said something like, if Riot didn't force us to have coaches, we wouldn't even have one.
Yeah.
Which makes me think that, like, gone are the days where the players would do all the strats and be in charge of all that. Like, you can still do it, but it's so much. It's better to have a coach who will at least throw ideas at you and freshen things up. I think, like you said, with Expeke, he was kind of like the anchor in the team. He's the big presence. He's the big guy, the veteran. He probably said, "Okay, guys, just like calm down. Let's just play our game," and everyone will respect and listen to him. I kind of think Mithy also had that role. From what I remember, is he was also the shot caller in the team. He's a fairly vocal guy. Like he's not quiet like Sven is that his name now? Sven.
Yeah,
Sven.
Was it OG Niels before?
Yeah,
Niels.
He seems like kind of a quiet guy. Like I feel like he'd be really focusing on his game. So I think it's probably up to Mithy for like the shot calling now. And I don't think Soaz is probably in his game too. Like he's not really like maybe late game he's probably like a shot calling guy. Like I'll split push. But yeah, and like you said, Expeke could have been the anchor that the team needed. And now that they've lost it, we can kind of see they're off their game. I think again, time will tell. Time will mend the team, hopefully. And if it doesn't, I don't know. Then they've screwed up.
You know what? I think that for a lot of the teams in North America and Europe, and maybe even Korea or China, Taiwan, Philippines, wherever there is a League of Legends team, there's always going to be problems. And I think that a lot of the teams are taking the direction of let's get all our roster swaps out of the way in the beginning of the split, in the beginning of spring, and then during summer we need to really pull our weight. We really need to work out the kinks during spring. Have proper practices, have proper shot calling, have proper coaching staff, have everything in the right place so that when summer comes and it's time to qualify for the World Championships, you guys are all on the right page, right? And that's kind of like what TSM's mentality is. And speaking of TSM, we're going to head right over to the North American region with the top story over the past 2 weeks is Altec stepping down from the NRG roster. Now, NRG was doing fine.
Okay.
They're doing fine. They're currently 5th place, but that doesn't mean a whole lot. The other teams have been really pulling their weight. And I think in North America, 5th place is like 3rd place in Europe. Like it's really, really strong. They're currently 6-6, and the only losses they've really had have been against really strong teams. Altec, just to give you a little bit of a stat breakdown about this little guy, 3.5 KDA ratio. He gets 9 CS per minute. That's 3rd in the North American LCS. He's got 69% kill participation. And in the past 4 games, unfortunately, Energy has gone 1 win and 4 losses. Sorry, that's 1 win, 3 losses. Interesting, but I do have to say that they have lost to really, really strong teams. It's not like they've been losing to like Renegades or something. They've been really, really strong against the teams that they've lost to. They just haven't won, which is a problem, of course. But Altec did say in a statement that he is stepping down for his own reasons. That he didn't get benched.
Yep. So yeah, there's no really need to talk about his stats. Like considering this was all because of whatever personal issues he was having. So he's probably not, he said he's going to post an update. Whatever, it might be some family issue. Who knows what it is? It's unfortunate because they were a pretty good team and they were doing okay. I think they could have done better. But yeah, LOD is definitely a downgrade from Altec.
But you have to think about it this way: is LOD or LOD? What I don't even know. I'm gonna call him Benjamin. That's his real name.
No, it's called. Call him LOD. It's so much quicker and easier.
So Benjamin.
Oh my god.
Benjamin. He plays currently for Ember. And he's got this upcoming Wednesday. Oh, that's tomorrow. He's got a match, I think, to qualify for the Challenger Series against Team Dragon Knights, who's got Seraph, and all these other people. I don't know who's on Team Dragon Knights, but Ember has like Golden Glue and Hard and him.
LOD to me just seems like one of those like challenger guys you throw around and he goes from team to team. He hasn't really proven himself to be an LCS level player. I think he was on Curse Academy or
Cloud9.
Cloud9.
He was on the Cloud9 team. It was Yasui.
No,
Hard.
Cloud9 Tempest, you mean?
Yeah, Cloud9 Tempest.
But he wasn't on an LCS team, was he?
He subbed in for Renegades when Freeze was coming in.
That's all he is. He's a sub. He's a challenger guy that bounces around. Nothing really special.
But the thing is, he's kind of like the golden glue of 80 carries. Now, here's the thing. Here's the thing. I made that comparison because they're on the same team qualifying for the Challenger Series. And if they do fare well against TDK, and if they do make it through very, very convincingly, I doubt it'll be convincingly, but if they make it through the Challenger Series in reasonable fashion, they'll be facing up against who? Renegades? LOD will pretty much take away the spot in the team that he subbed in for Freeze, which is kind of interesting. But that's if Ember does very well against Team Dragon Knights this upcoming Wednesday, which is tomorrow. But I think LOD,
he'll be okay. There's not really much to say.
Yeah, no, for sure. But I mean, on the stage that he did play with Renegades, he did fine.
Yeah, he did okay.
He did fine.
Yep.
Considering he probably lost because Renegades is 1-11, so I'm assuming he was part of 2 losses.
Okay, let's stop talking about loss. Let's talk about a good team.
Let's talk about a good team. Unfortunately, I'm gonna have to break that rule, and I want to talk about. Actually, no, we will talk about a good team. We'll talk about Echo Fox. Currently, what do you mean? That's a good team. Okay, past week they went 2-0. They've got Hardback. They've got KFO. They've got Froggen.
Okay.
What's there not to like?
Okay, they're not a good team.
They're a great team.
They're a great team.
Do you know who do they play against? Who do they play against? Team Impulse and Liquid. They played against Liquid.
They're 5-7 and they're in 6th place. Like that's not a good team. That's an okay.
Okay, but you have to consider what it is that they were. Sorry, excuse me. You have to consider what it was that made them get to that position. They were struggling with visa issues, and they tried whatever they could to stay in the scene, in the standings, and they had Golden Glue come on and hard, and they really didn't do a whole lot, putting them at 6-6. But for the past 2 weeks, they've had their roster, and look how convincingly they've won. Yeah, they've beaten Energy, they've beaten Liquid, 2 of the main teams that they need to knock out
Renegades,
properly.
And then Impulse.
So
Impulse. 2 easy wins.
No.
That's 4. That's 4. Okay, that's 4 wins in the last 2 weeks.
Oh my
2 of them are easy. So count it as them being 3 and whatever.
Team Impulse, sure, they're a little sloppy.
Okay, look. Okay, I agree with you that Echo Fox is looking better. I really wish they had this team from the start, but they didn't. Now they do. They haven't really proven themselves yet because they've only played against one decent team, and that's Energy. Team Liquid's in a slump until they play against Cloud9, TSM, CLG, or Immortals. I'm not going to form my opinion right now. They're good. Okay, they're fine. They're okay. Okay, don't call them good. Okay, are you okay?
I call them good.
Okay, they're doing good. They're doing good.
Listen.
You're not a good team right now.
I'm gonna predict the next 2 weeks, and we'll talk about this during next week's show and the following show. Echo Fox playing Saturday 4 p.m. Echo Fox versus TSM. I'm going to give it to Echo Fox. What? Oh my goodness. Dude, TSM has been absolutely garbage.
Okay, but TSM is a better team than Echo Fox.
TSM is garbage.
You don't think TSM is a better team than Echo Fox?
TSM right now.
So if you compare the rosters right now,
absolute garbage.
So you're saying, okay.
You're comparing. Hold on.
Keep talking.
You're comparing what's on paper. TSM on paper sounds like a delicious pie filled with whipped cream and blueberry.
And what about Echo Fox on paper?
Echo Fox on paper.
You're saying Big's better than Yellowstar?
Hold on.
You're saying Keith is better than Double Lift?
Hold on.
Froggen's better than Bjergsen?
Okay. On paper, TSM is like supposed to be phenomenal. What Echo Fox is right now isn't better than what TSM is on paper, but what TSM actually.
Which game?
Hold on.
Your metaphor.
Hold on. No, there's no metaphor.
There's no metaphor.
Hold on.
Sorry,
Echo Fox, TSM on paper is better than Echo Fox currently, but Echo Fox currently is better than TSM currently. How TSM has been performing lately has been absolute garbage, and they haven't found their footing at all.
Okay, which team is better right now, Echo Fox or TSM?
Echo Fox!
Okay, then we will agree to disagree, and you will look like an idiot.
Okay, let's move on. We'll make a bet.
We're done.
We'll make a bet. a bet.
Look at the raw. Read out the names on TSM.
Hanser, trash.
Just keep reading.
Svenskeren, trash.
What?
He's
keep reading. Keep reading names.
Bjergsen.
Okay, that's good.
Okay. Wow.
Double
my
it?
God. Okay.
Yellowstar? I can see. Look, when I'm he has it right in front of me in the monitor, and he just put it away now because he's not gonna let me do my point.
No,
I can. When I look at TSM, I get excited, even if they're in a slump. That team has some.
Who did they lose to last week? Team Dignitas.
Yeah, upsets happen all the time.
What do you mean upsets happen? It was convincing fashion.
It's cheese, dude. If you lose in the early game, you can get just wrecked the rest of the game. It's not like you can come back for well, I mean you can, but
honestly,
wait, go back to the chart. Go back to the chart. Is that? But TSM was ahead in gold.
Yeah, but that's Dignitas.
Wait, is Dig red?
Dig is blue.
Dig's blue. Oh, yeah. So
TSM, it was even. They were what? 4K gold ahead.
Yeah,
that's not even that much.
Okay, but then by the end of the game, how much were they up?
7K.
Okay, that's not much more.
What do you mean? That's
okay. It's a little more. That was for 3/4 of the game. TSM was ahead. So in the end, probably I admit I didn't watch the game, but in the end, it came down to some fight. It came down to some push. It was it was near the end of the game where shit hit the fan.
And now
anyways,
let's take a look at this.
We're agreeing to disagree. Okay, that's a great chart.
Okay, yeah,
we're agreeing to disagree.
Okay. We'll say. Hold on.
Do you want to make a bet?
I'm gonna end the discussion here.
Let's make a bet.
Let's make a bet. $5.
Well,
$5 Echo Fox wins.
Okay, I mean, I'll do $5. You don't want to do something cooler?
Okay, what do you have in mind to bet?
I don't know. Like maybe okay. When are we gonna decide which team is better? Are we gonna say the end of the season?
Pardon?
We're going to say the end of the season we'll decide which team is better, or you want to do it next week? Well, want to do it for the results next week? Okay. You want to do the TSM versus Echo Fox match?
I would either do $5 for the TSM versus Echo Fox match,
but listen to the wager.
Listen, or I'll do $20 for Echo Fox doing better than TSM by the end of the split.
Well, I don't want to wait to the end of the split. Let's say next week we'll see who wins, and instead of $5 for the whole League of Legends segment next week, we have to. Okay, so if I win, you have to call me. You have to call me something cool.
I have to call you something cool.
Okay, because if you watch Summoning Insight with Thorin and Monte Cristo, and
like rarely,
he makes bets. He calls if he wins the bet, they have to call him Lord Thorin.
Lord Thorin.
So do you want to? So whoever wins, whoever loses has to call the other person Lord whenever you address them.
Okay, done.
Or whenever they request it.
Let it be known here that we've made a bet. I will tweet this out at RU_Esports that if I win, if Echo Fox wins against TSM next week's broadcast, I will call. If Echo Fox wins, I will call. He will call me Lord Simo, and if TSM wins, I'll call him Lord Joseph. We'll see if that actually comes true. But let's move on. We've talked way too much about Echo Fox. We will talk about them later.
We talk about a good team now.
Immortals. Are they immortal? Will they last the stand of time? I say yes. I say yes. Adrian, a phenomenal support. I'm not trying to bandwagon him here, but ever since he played on Team Impulse, I remember I read an article how he had like one of the best stats in 2014 on Team Impulse as a support. Of course, KDA wise, I don't think he had one of the best scores, but he had like the greatest warding average, and he really helped the team in vision control. And I think he's just a phenomenal support. We've got Huni and Rainover who work phenomenally as a team. Poe Belter, although I do think he's a weak mid laner, he's looked so much better on this team, and I don't know what it is. I don't know how, but he's looked so much. Tell me then.
Well, he's on a team that's good.
Wow.
That has good players.
Wow.
It's not necessarily always on his back. Like he can go ham if he wants to, or he can just chill out and let his team carry him. The Wild Turtle carry the game. But like you asked, if Immortals are immortal, I think this is week 7 now. They are undefeated, so they've already beaten every single team. I don't see why they won't do it again. And not many roster changes have happened besides Echo Fox. And I don't think the Echo Fox team is good enough to beat Immortals right now, the new one, or the original one. So, this could be another Fnatic undefeated. And that's a weird trend in League of Legends. Like, are we going to start seeing an undefeated team in one of the LCS regions from now on?
It depends on who has Huni and Rainover.
Who
Who drafts, yeah?
That's so weird. What if he, because I feel like Hooney's just having a great time. You know, he was in Europe. Everybody loved him. He was just like a crazy, goofy guy. He was just enjoying life, and he's like, you know what? This was great. I was here for whatever year, whatever it was. This is fun. I'm gonna do it again now. I'm gonna go to NA and do it all over again. Who knows? Maybe he's just team hopping, and the team that has him is just gonna be undefeated. You know what his salary is gonna be like next year if they go undefeated?
Yeah.
He has been on since he's been on 2 undefeated teams. That is silly.
I would say
Or he will be.
if Immortals win the next 2 splits, let's say in summer they don't go undefeated.
I think next split will be hard.
Let's say next split's gonna be harder. Let's say they don't go undefeated in summer, but they win both spring and summer playoffs. They go to MSI, they go to Worlds as a first seed for NA. I would say people would start like labeling Huni and Ravenrover among the likes of Faker, Uzi, Mata, Pawn, Bengi. Sorry.
But
I think they'll start to be seen as titans of the industry, and I think they'll be sought after like Faker, like Pawn.
this kind of reminds me of Cloud9, like when they had that crazy
True.
like win streak, and they just like stomped everybody. It was kind of like I definitely don't think the playstyles are the same. Cloud9 won because of the amazing tactics and the rotations and all that. Right now, Immortals are kind of just
doing the same thing.
No.
They're doing the same thing.
No, they're not. They're not really using tactics. They're more just bullying. Don't you agree? They're just stomping everyone that they play. It's not necessarily they don't necessarily have they have okay tactics, but they're kind of just like stomping on everyone. And I think what the comparison I'm trying to make to Cloud9 is that nobody really knows how to beat them right now. That's what everyone's saying. That's what everyone said about Cloud9. Like I remember people from TSM were just like, we have no idea how to beat these guys. We are scared to play against them. We just don't know. Nothing's working. I think after a while, eventually someone's going to figure out how you beat them. Someone's going to find an exploit, a chink in their armor somehow, and maybe that won't be this split, but it might be next split. It could happen this split as well. I think eventually, sooner or later, someone's going to discover their weakness, and I don't think they're going to be as good as they are now, but they definitely, just skill-wise, have an amazing team. That's why I'm a little worried. I was thinking, if they go to Worlds, are they really going to be able to stand up to Korean teams? Because not only do Korean teams have amazing players, but they have amazing tactics.
You know what? I do have to say, you saw their style of play and their tactics. It's very Cloud9-esque. It's very
But not.
Hold on.
Yeah.
You saw they've been playing very stompy. Yeah, they've been really dominating a lot of their opponents. But very recently, we saw that they didn't struggle against Renegades, but they were losing in the very beginning of the game. And it's very interesting because Fiona on Fire, an ESPN writer, tweeted out, you're 50. It was Renegades had a Cinderella story, and they had to bring back their glass slippers and the pumpkin that's decked out, and the dress back at midnight. So for Renegades, that was 15 minutes into the game. After 15 minutes, they were stomping. They weren't stomping, but they were ahead in gold. They were ahead in kills. But then once the 15 minutes were up, Immortals was okay, you've had some fun, Renegades, and they destroyed them. But what they did was they took turrets, they rotated, Immortals. They pressured the areas that they needed to pressure, and they made calls. So for example, I think there was a base race. Immortals was guarding with 1 or 2 players, and Renegades was doing a full push, whereas they were doing Baron. Renegades was doing Baron, but they had there had 2 parties of Immortals members. There was 3 on top, and there was a Echo in the bottom with Lich Bane, and they just got 2 inhibitors for the price of Baron, and it was insane. Well, it wasn't like that, but pretty much what the bottom of the line of the story is that Immortals has a great tactics as well. We just don't see it as much because they win so often, right?
I really don't agree with that, because in that game, you were saying, Renegades was ahead for the first 15 minutes, and Renegades are a team that has to rely on their tactics because they don't have the strongest individual players. They really, really, really have to rely on their shot calling and all that. So I think Renegades was out calling them at the start of the game, but I guess Immortals just scaled, and they got to the late game or the mid game, and they took over. They bodied them. And you're saying this thing with the inhib, that's not really a tactic. That's just keep pushing until you get an inhib while these idiots are doing Baron. It wasn't some crazy fake and teleport and Baron fake and call out. It was just body them. Just that's all there is to it. That's all I see from Immortals right now. I'm not saying there's no tactics. I'm just saying they're not like a Cloud9 type of like tactic team.
So as we can see here, this is the chart.
They can't see it.
They can't see it, but this is just the Immortals versus Renegades chart. And one thing, I watched the game, and it was such a pleasure to watch. And the comment, I've never seen anything like it. It's like, oh my God, Renegades, they're winning in gold. Oh my God, they're winning in gold. Oh, no, they're winning in kills. They're winning in kills. And they're like, oh, but they're still trying to catch up in gold. They can't catch up in gold. And Immortals still found a way to stay above, to stay on top. But what they did was they had a very heavy farm style, which is very Meteos-esque. They had great turret coverage, which they were able to snag turrets. As you can see here, look, turret, turret, turret. Oh no, sorry, dragon. But there was also a turret there too. So it's like, look at that, even another turret, another turret. Like, it's crazy how great Immortals play. And one of the things that in that game, Pobelter was constantly using his ultimate to clear waves and to create this heavy push style. And what I really have to commend Immortals for, although you might disagree, I have to say Immortals have great technique.
No, they have good technique. I'm just saying they're not like a super crazy shot calling team. That's all I'm saying. I mean, they have shot calling, they have some strats, yeah, but they're not like us. Like, there's no one on the team who's calling like a high type of person who's blindly telling them what to do, and it just works because they all work together so well, and it's a great call.
One last thing I do have to mention is that when we were talking earlier about LOD going on to NRG, it's just obviously a placeholder. Who do you think they'll pick up? Who do you think NRG probably wants at this point? Because LOD is not a permanent stand-in.
I think they want Altec back. There's not really anyone else to get. Like, Altec will come out. He'll in the next few days. He'll probably come out with a statement about why he left. I don't know. I think you know what? It's weird actually, because he tweeted about it. If it was like a family issue, he would have said I have a family issue right off the bat. But he said, like, it was weird. He's like, the decision was all my own. I'll talk about it why. Like, I'll say why after. It could be some drama in the team. It could be.
He could be burnt out.
Yeah, he could maybe want to quit League of Legends. I don't know, but who are they going to get? They're going to keep Lod for as long for a while.
They can't get an import because all their imports are already right.
So there's no one else.
Yeah,
they got Lod because he's all that's available.
Yeah,
they'll find some challenger guy, and that'll really affect the team. It really is kind of a bummer because they were a good team.
Altec's phenomenal.
They were a good team, and Altec was really good.
So we're done with that. League of Legends, we've talked about a whole lot.
One more thing with League of Legends. Me and my friend were talking. Okay, who do you think would win in a match like right now? Rockhat versus Team Impulse. Which team do you think is better? Because they're kind of the bottom of each league right now. Rockhat versus Team Impulse.
Give me a second. I'm gonna do a little bit of research. What did you guys decide upon?
No, we're not. I don't want to tell you what I think.
Oh my goodness.
Because that would.
Oh my goodness. I'm gonna say Rockhat.
Yeah. See.
Yeah. I'm gonna say Rockhat.
Why do you think that?
Well, I mean, they just have more star power on their roster, right? All you have to say is tabs, and that's it. Like, yeah, that's it. That's all you gotta say.
I honestly, all I have to say is look at Team Impulse's roster.
Yeah, exactly. And they also have Betsy, who's used to be on Gambit Gaming, who's like a decent mid laner.
And honestly, like,
better team.
Generally European teams are like just the caliber players are usually better than NA.
Yeah,
especially
for sure.
The bottom NA teams are always just like scraping the bottom of the barrel, you know.
Yeah.
Whereas the bottom your teams, they usually have like one or two decent players, and the other guys are like they're okay. They're not really like that bad.
Yeah, and the worst score in NA is 1-11, whereas the worst score in Europe is 2-10.
Yeah.
So
yep.
That means that there's been 12 games, and they've won like.
Yeah, and the teams in Europe are. Actually, you know, I'm not going to say that. I was going to say they're better than the teams in NA, but there are more star teams in NA. Anyways,
moving on to CS:GO. Yeah. What do you got for us, Joseph?
I was going to talk about all the visa issues. There are especially like this last few days. There's been a lot of talk about visas, but we'll say that to the end. Main thing, there's a couple things I want to talk about. One thing is a really interesting format for ESL Barcelona. Basically, there were 8 teams in the tournament. And
they had 3 lives, I believe.
Yeah. Every team has 3 lives. Whenever you lose a game, you lose a life. And the winner of a match gets to decide the 2 teams to play next. And that's cool in itself. But what made things a lot cooler is teams were making alliances.
Oh
Yeah.
my goodness.
Which is really, really cool. So how it worked was the two Danish teams, Australis and Dignitas, they had their own alliance. So they said, let's not play against each other, and we'll go see how far we can go, just like until we have to eventually play against each other. The other alliance, there were only two alliances because over the top 5 teams, because the bottom 3 were like invite, they were just very like bad regional Spanish teams or whatever.
Sure.
The other 3 teams that had alliance were Envy, Fnatic, and G2. So 2 French teams and the Swedish teams. So those 3 guys said, let's not play against each other. Let's try to get the other teams eliminated first. And everything was going fine and dandy. And eventually it got to the point where G2 beat Australis, which is, so they were against each other.
Isn't Australis kind of like the
They were
XTSM? Yeah.
So they're a top team. So yeah, G2 beat Australis. So the two alliances, one of them beat the other one. So it came down to G2 and they said, who do you want to play next? So you're thinking to yourself, they're in an alliance with Fnatic and Envy, so they're obviously not going to make them play. So they're probably going to do, they have to probably play Fnatic or Envy. So it's either going to be Fnatic versus Dig or Envious versus Dig. But G2 backstabbed their alliance and made Fnatic play against Envy, which kind of caused like a shitstorm. It was kind of like half like, haha, they backstabbed us. Let's give it our all. But it was like the other half was like really anger. Like apparently Kenny S was furious.
Who won that match, by the way?
Envious, because what happened, how it was Envy only had 1 life at that point.
Oh my goodness.
And Fnatic had 2. So it's smart of G2 because they either eliminate Envy or take a life off Fnatic, which is great.
Yeah.
In the end, Envy actually lost, so they were eliminated from the tournament right there. And apparently, Kenny S was absolutely furious because those guys they're both French. G2 and Envy are both French, and they all know each other really well.
Yeah.
And they backstabbed them, and he was livid.
That's a story.
That's a very interesting format, eh?
Jeez.
It's a shame we don't see that in League of Legends. There's no tournament circuit.
No.
So.
Well, I mean, one day I think that would be really interesting. I think it would be interesting in NA. Like NA, NA would be.
Think they used to have when they had tournaments, they had interesting formats like that. And this is only the second time they've ever used it in Counter-Strike, and it's really, really, really fun because at the end of the game, the captain comes up, he's like, "I choose these 2 teams to play," and it's just like you never know what the matches are going to be. It's going to be crazy.
I think it would be interesting to do something like an all-star game like that. In League All-Star, like Froggen walks up, he just beats Afromu with his farm Nasus, and he's just like, I choose Bjergsen and double lift and Afromu.
Yeah.
Like the X Rush Hour bot lane to face one another or something like that. It'll be interesting.
But with this, you have to they did backstab them, but when you're in a tournament, you want to do the best you can, and G2 did whatever they could to get higher up in the standings. So it was kind of a slick, slimy kind of thing to do, but whatever.
Yeah.
It was cool.
Another thing that we have to talk about is something really important happened very recently. Freakazoid, Cloud9 CSGO player, he was busted on stream.
Not really busted.
Well, not really busted, but he was bullying somebody live.
Yeah,
right?
I kind of wanted to avoid talking about this because it's kind of just silly, drama. Basically, what happened is this new player from Ukraine who's known to be a toxic guy named Simple. He's on Team Liquid now, and he's kind of had a lot of criticism. He's a really good player, and he's just a really kind of toxic guy. That's just how, I don't know, that's just how he is. And anyways, one of the Cloud9 players, Freakazoid, was in a match with him, or on TeamSpeak with him or something, and he was kind of you want to call it bullying, you can't really bully someone like that. He was I want to call it harassing him. He was like, yo, he was just saying stuff like, oh, yo, you suck, man. Your aim's so bad, which is a ridiculous thing to say. Whatever. He just kind of silly stuff like that. And people took it really, really far. It was kind of blown up out of proportion. But anyways, now Freakazoid's actually doing anti-bullying seminars. It's ridiculous. I think it's really, really silly. It's not really worthy of news, I think.
Nevertheless, Cloud9 decided to dock Freakazoid 1 month of salary.
Fine.
And that salary will be going to a anti-bullying charity, which I think is smart. It's good for PR.
Yeah. Yep. That's exactly what it
it's
is.
Smart move. I think that regardless of whether this is dumb or childish, some good came out of it.
Well, it's not okay. I don't want to say dumb. But Freakazoid is one of the guys who's trying to be a nice guy in the community. He was always talking about how this bullying's bad and stuff like that. So fine, dock him a month's pay, make him do this stupid seminar, fine. But people are actually they want to attack his career, which is really silly. You you want this guy to quit or you want to like ruin his career just because of like some like silly stuff he said to another guy. Like that stuff happens all the time in games. Like people don't make a big deal of it. It just happened to be these two guys who are really big in the community right now, and it just blew up. And it's not really too important. It is important, but it doesn't have anything to do with like the game.
Yeah. Let's quickly bring up our last point for CS:GO. I think something important, and then we'll get right into
very important.
We'll get right into our discussion of the week. If you guys want to join us for our discussion, remember you can talk to us on chatstep.com/#RU Esports.
It's on the Facebook page, right?
It's on the Facebook page. It's on Toronto League Commune. It's on my Facebook, my personal private Facebook. But you can find it, and the password is all lowercase Ryerson 37. You can come join, and we can talk about the discussion of the week, which is
visa issues.
Visa issues.
So yeah, if you forgot the password or whatever, just go on our Facebook, and you can find the link and the password there.
Yeah.
The last point is a crazy point. It really makes me happy. This is like really new news. Only came out like a couple hours ago. Valve has upped the prize pool from every single major from now on from $250,000 total prize pool to $1 million in the prize pool, which is great.
Nice.
Still not as much as other esports. Still a great amount.
But
it's times 4 what they had before. So that's fantastic.
I gotta say this will propel CS:GO, because I've already seen, being a League of Legends fan like myself, I've seen CS:GO at these events in Toronto really surpass League of Legends, and with this, the fandom will just grow even more.
No, not even that, but the players will be definitely trying a lot harder because, and you have to remember, $1 million prize pool means that doesn't mean the first place team wins $1 million. It means the first place team. I think they showed what they're going to divide it up to be. Let me just check really quick. I believe it was first place gets... Okay, I can't find it. I think first place gets either $500,000 or $600,000, which is way more than they had before.
Yeah.
So teams are going to be a lot more motivated, especially they have to qualify for the major. Like you're not guaranteed a spot. Half the teams are that were in the top half of the last major, they're guaranteed to go. Half the teams have to still qualify. The tournament, the qualifiers haven't happened yet. Teams like Cloud9 and Team Liquid and CLG, they're not guaranteed a spot. They have to win a qualifier. And the way they're actually looking now, that they could be a risk of not even going to the major, which would really be a bummer.
Yeah. That brings us to a very important topic, as players seem to not only have trouble with qualifying for tournaments, but they seem to also have visa issues. That's this week's discussion. Like I said, if you want to come join us, chatstep.com/#RU Esports, and the password is Ryerson37. So pretty much, let me give you guys a little bit of a rundown of what, where this issue stems from. So in July of 2013, after 6 months of lobbying, Riot Games, the owner or the creator of League of Legends, was able to convince the United States government that under a P1 visa, which are provided for professional athletes, international gamers can receive the same type of visa. And with this visa, they can come to America, where the home of the land, the land of the free, where the American dream is prominent, and you can have a really nice car and a really nice job. Esports gamers can come over here and play video games. Riot Games proved to America that LCS is a viable career path, and that CS:GO is a viable career path, and that Smash is a viable career path.
Well, we'll talk about CS:GO later because there are issues there.
Yeah,
big issues right now.
But the problem here's my kind of take on it. I'll give you a little bit of a list of teams that have kind of had like a little bit of a problem. You can talk about CS:GO, but I'll talk about eHome in Dota, very prominent team. Leffen from Smash, he's a TSM sponsored player. Invictus Gaming, Dota and League team. LGD, which is a League team. Dexter, popular LCS player who's kind of on a super team at some point. X-Smithy, jungler for CLG. He had this huge problem with going to Worlds, and the Philippines. The Philippines really, really supported him in his time of need, and convinced the European government that he should be able to compete. Jebus, I don't know if you know what that name is, but he's a League of Legends player. Kind of just Jebus. I don't know. Gambit Gaming, obviously, we have Diamond Prox, Edward, who's obviously on Rocat, who was on Rocat, and then obviously more infamously known, Ryu on H2K. But also another one, Broken Shard. He's been kind of hopping around as a coach from team to team. But yeah, there's a lot of people who have problems. It seems like the problems that are prominent in North America are due to teams not taking enough time to lay down the foundation. It takes 3 weeks to process a visa. Teams tend to let their players play on a tourist visa, which is a B2, which lasts about a week, 2 weeks, and then they're out of the week, right? We saw Echo Fox was actually forced to forfeit a match because they didn't have the proper documentation, they didn't have the proper visas, and it's the first time the Riot kind of put their foot down and was like, hey, put your hand out of the cookie jar. And also the European visas, the European version, the problem being is that some countries don't really believe in esports yet, and the government's not on board. There's a whole just issue there, and yeah, it's honestly just all over the place right now.
There's different kind of visa issues happening right now in esports. There's examples of in Europe, Russian players can't play in Germany because Germany and Russia are not in the best of standing, like in their relationship right now. So they just flat out are refusing to let Russian players come play. That's a big problem because. But I mean, do you even consider Russian players to be part of the European LCS? Is Russia in Europe? Like, it's part.
I wouldn't. Here's why. No, don't Google it. Don't Google it. I have the answer.
I don't want to sound like an idiot.
I have the answer. Russia is not part of Europe, and I'll tell you why. Europeans do not need visas when going from country to country.
They're not in the European Union, right?
They're not.
Yeah.
So Swedish people can go to Germany and compete in the LCS. Spanish people can go play wherever they want in Europe, and Russians, however, don't get that same luxury, and as a result, they, like Edward and Diamond Prox, can't play in Germany, and Ryu had trouble playing in Germany. Anyone who's not German is having a little bit of trouble. Now, a solution that someone suggested is the fact that countries are still kind of in the process of legitimizing esports. Europe is definitely on that path and has been on that path for way too long of a time. North America is obviously on a good footing, and we've got, the proper documentation and processes in place for some of these players to come on in and join the fun. But somebody suggested that we move all LCS functions over to France, who's almost near the end of the process of legitimizing esports. They're kind of in that phase of defining what's an esport. They've already had the proper lobbying. They've already had the proper support. They're in the right direction. They're kind of going through the unions and the parliament and what have you, but they're almost there. The government knows. The government's on board. They're just going through the motions. Yep. But that wouldn't be a bad idea.
That's a good plan. That's just Europe though. That's League of Legends in Europe. So that's already one issue there. Now we're talking about NA, and like you said, the American government has recognized esports. Whatever, that's great. The problem is that these teams still have to fill out the visas. They can't just expect to show up and play. So a lot of teams, Riot is not checking the visas all the time. They're kind of expecting the team owners to deal with it themselves. So in the case of Echo Fox, these players couldn't play because they didn't fill out their visas properly. Whatever. At least in North America, you can come and you can play, and your visa might take some time to get approved, but you can come eventually. That's fantastic. But in Counter-Strike, right now, the next major is going to be in North America for the very first time. It's been in Europe, every other major in the past. So this is the very first one in North America, which is fantastic because we've wanted one for a long time.
Now,
but the problem is that a lot of teams are getting denied the chance to come and play in the tournament. One example is the Mongols, and that's the name of their team, and they are Mongolian, and they actually surprised the world because they upset Renegades, which was a top Australian team who was expected to beat them hands down, and the Mongols played out of their mind. Everyone loved them. They're just playing amazing. They're so hyped. They're like, these guys are going to go to the major. Let's see what they can do. And I think it was today or yesterday, they were flat out denied a visa into the United States.
Wow.
Based on the fact that they could not provide evidence that they would return. So they couldn't prove that they were going to go back to Mongolia.
That's crazy.
So this team is, and you know what's even worse is when they originally planned to go, the prize pool was $250,000. They just got denied, and then like a few hours later, or right later in the day, the prize pool was up to $1 million. So think of how bad that must feel.
Yeah, and I think there's really three things that I really wanted to talk about. First, teams are not allocating the right time and resources to get players into appropriate countries. We had that problem with Echo Fox. We had that problem with pretty much every single LCS team that's struggled to get a player into the country, and they're pretty much submitting their rosters like a week before. They're having their players play on tourist visas, and Riot's starting to crack down on it. And with CS:GO, I could see the same problem. People are in such a rush to draft players, right? The problem is that traditional sports, they have baseball, football, hockey, they all have a foundation within Canada, within America. They have a foundation. All the players play in the same country, and it's a lot easier for them to pay salaries, and a lot easier for them to compete. But the problem with esports is that there's all these different countries and different regulations and different tourism visa processes, and the problem is that esports right now is in this really awkward state where people continuously draft players and pick up players like hot potato. Like it's like, yeah, I want this player, and then I want that player, and then I want this player, and it's crazy because visas take time, and you need to commit to a player, you need to commit to your team, and a lot of teams don't do that. Now, the second thing I wanted to talk about is countries obviously still trying to legitimize esports. One of the main things that we need in each country is to rally as a community. So during the 2015 World Championships, Xmithy was denied a visa to go to Europe. The Philippines supported the hell out of this guy. The community rallied, got thousands of signatures, and the Philippines was able to help him get his visa to Europe. And yeah, I think it's important for teams to understand what are the processes of getting these visas, and then secondly, we need the support from within the country, and we need the support from the government. Now, I understand the support from the government is one of the last things to come, and it's hard.
It sounded like a rap. You're like, this is the support of the government.
Yeah. Mixtape coming soon. But I think that we need the support from the government, and we need the support from...
Now you sound like a politician.
Now we need the support from the government.
Why are you talking about?
I don't know. And we need support from the community. Yep. From the people who run LANs, from the people who play in LANs, from the people who commentate. We just need the support to prove that some of these governments that this is a real thing.
That's true. But I mean, if you need, like you're saying, the one group you need support from is governments, hands down. I mean, that's it. It really is a shame because it's kind of impacting our esports. We want to see the best players play. We want to see the best teams being formed. We wanted to see the best that we possibly can see. And when something like a visa interferes with that, it's really just a bummer more than anything. I remember with the thing with Xmithy, nobody knew if he was going to be able to play at Worlds. They were practicing with their sub. They didn't even know. And what was his story? He's not. Is he from the Philippines? He's American.
I think so.
He's American or Canadian or something, right?
I thought he was Canadian, but
but he's also half Filipino or something.
The point is that the Philippines was able to help him.
Yeah, he was being denied because of he was Filipino or something. And I remember the Filipino community was behind him 100%. They were lobbying, they were talking to their politicians and stuff like that. And I think even one of their politicians was an esports fan. A Filipino politician was a fan of esports, wasn't he? I think that's what I remember, and he really, really pushed for it too. That's great, but that's not happening right now, and especially the biggest visa issues I see right now. The number one issue is the Russia and Europe visa issue, because I mean Edwards is good, but Diamond is he that first week he revitalized that team. He looked amazing. He was on fire. Everyone was so hyped for him, and how disappointing is it? You're you're not forced to stop because of an injury. You're not forced to stop because the team kicks you out. You're forced to stop because of like your government.